Welcome to HR.com Live. This podcast is produced by HR.com, the #1 destination to help 1.7 million HR executives maximize human potential and drive extraordinary business results.
Good afternoon and welcome to HR.com Live. My name is Dr. Heidi Scott and I'm our Chief Learning Officer here at HR.com. My goal is to ensure that our learning ecosystem remains innovative. And I really believe in equipping HR professionals with the tools they need to do their jobs well today, as well as tomorrow, as we face all the challenges before us. So as we look at learning, we'll also be looking at the new HR leader, what skills and thinking are needed. In this episode, we'll be talking with Mark Monaghan from iQor. And we're going to be talking about how HR must provide a balanced talent development experience that helps people make an impact within the organization, both today and tomorrow. So you can see it's a real fitting topic. A little bit more about Mark. Mark is the VP of Global Learning at iQor, and he's been there for about 8 years in global leadership and development. This guy is a multi-award-winning training and development program designer. 36 global training awards since 2014 and counting. Along with some exciting things. He hails from Charleston, South Carolina. Mark, we're glad to have you here today, and just thank you for spending some time with us.
Absolutely, Heidi. It's always quality time when we get to speak.
Yeah, exactly. It's always a pleasure. So, Mark, I'm curious, when it comes to change, which is rampant, it's a way of life, change and technology in the learning space, what do we as HR professionals need to employ to handle it successfully?
Change or technology change, right? Everything that we're seeing in that realm, right?
Yeah.
Well, one is I think we've got to not stop learning, right? And it's so easy for an HR professional to get caught up in the generalist stuff and the work that you do and the day-to-day stuff that you stop learning. And part of learning is learning how to learn. And if depending on the size of your HR department and how it's structured, if training and learning reports to you, then you've got to sort of be on the cutting edge. I think the most fun part about the learning side and development side of the HR world is whereas you can kind of wrap your arms and be really a specialist in a certain area and kind of know everything from an HR generalist standpoint, when it comes to learning, it's always changing. It's a moving target. Technology is out there. Don't be afraid of it. I constantly attend the webinars. I go to trainingmagazine.com. HR.com has got a bunch of great webinars that cover leadership and learning and how they're tied into HR. I'll do maybe 1 or 2 of those 30-minute, 1-hour ones a week just to see what's out there. A lot of times somebody's trying to sell you some kind of new technology, right? But if you're seeing what the cutting technology is, you don't know what you don't know. Right? So if you can see it and you can apply it, then don't be afraid to try and use it. So as an HR person who has been around for a while, I'm constantly trying to learn something new from a technology standpoint, because I know somewhere, someday, there's going to be a puzzle with a piece missing, and that part is going to fit right in there. And maybe I remember, and I can go back and I can get it.
I love what you're saying. One of the disciplines for myself, and you just stated it so well, I think it's the discipline of learning. It's the discipline of carving out time.
Yep.
I know for our L&D team, we'll take a quarterly brain fest day, like a personal development. Like, I don't care what you're learning, just make your game plan for what you're going to spend on that day of the week. And we all know, like, peace out, man. No meetings that day, just learning. And then we'll circle back the following week and kind of have a show and tell. What did you learn? How does it apply? How did what you learn might help us all do our jobs better? And I love what you said about the missing puzzle piece. We don't know what that missing puzzle piece is until we're faced with what goes here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're not aware of the technology and what it can do, a lot of it works different. It just has a different face on it, right? LMSs all kind of do the same thing, but once you've seen enough of them, then you know. So when you start looking, you can kind of pick and choose what you need, because aligning that need with all of the different types of software and technology out there is a big step. And if your company is going to make a huge investment in some kind of software package or custom technology, they're going to come to you to ask for, what is it exactly that you're looking for? And you're going to work with IT, and you're going to work with your marketing team, and you're going to be on this project team. And if you've never done anything from a technology standpoint, you're going to be pretty intimidated.
Yeah, yeah. So when you think about navigating all of this change for HR professionals, what do you think are the most important personality attributes? Now, when I say personality attributes, we are all born with the personality, but then there are also traits or attributes we can work on developing a little bit. So we won't get into the nature versus nurture, but when it comes to personality attributes as a whole, what do you see helps us really navigate well?
Sure, sure. There's basically five. They could be leadership traits. They could be self-management traits, but things that I've seen over the years, and a lot of them have a lot of science behind them as well. In fact, books written about some of the things that I believe in. The first would be you have to be resilient. As an HR person or a leader of a department or wherever you fall in the company, you got to come back. You got to have that grit factor, right? The person that wins is the person that never quits. So maybe you don't get there the first time you try, but you get there because you keep trying. It's always, to me, I always look for people that are optimistic. It's tough to work with pessimistic people, especially the more complicated and hard things get, right? You want people around you that have a positive attitude with a can-do mentality. And if you tie the resiliency in with a can-do attitude, you're already way ahead on that scale. One of the top leadership traits, and especially for HR people, is problem solving. You'll see it if you can take a look at it, just about any leadership study from DDI to anybody, but problem solving, like for your CEOs, is the #1 trait that CEOs share in common. In fact, a number of those people are dyslexic. I know that because I'm dyslexic, so I hope that I'm a good problem solver. But that is a key thing. You need somebody that's going to come in there and find the solution. A sense of humor. A lot of people are worried. The workplace is so PC now, they're afraid that they can't be funny anymore. You don't have to make fun of people to be funny. You don't have to have some kind of bias in humor to be funny. You can just make it fun. There's a lot of things to do. And right now, we know from all of the research, the NPS score, that, high employee engagement lowers attrition and we're more productive. And everybody's trying to be more productive. And they always turn to HR. What are your ideas on attrition and how are we going to affect that? And then finally, I think this is my personal, maybe, you don't see this quite as much, but you do in some books. In fact, one of the books that I'm currently I just finished reading, that we did a book study on bankable leadership by Dr. Eubanks. She talks about a servant's heart. And a servant's heart is, as a leader, and I teach all the people that work for me and all the leaders in our company, in fact, it's written into our iQorian values, that we're here to serve. It's a manager's job to remove the obstacles that can get in the way, create an atmosphere that provides excitement for them, an opportunity, and then care. Get to know who they are, get to know their kids, get to know the birth dates of those people, show them that you care, and then never ask them to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. And so those are some of the best traits that I could possibly think of, but not just in leaders, those are just good life traits as well.
No, I love it. You're crossing nicely over the bridge of being learning focused as a learning leader, but also leadership. I mean, just straight out leadership. And I'm thinking, as you're developing your team, as our listeners and viewers of this video cast are tuning in to say, how do I be a better leader? I love the fact that it's pretty simple. So some of these things are, someone may have more grit than another just by personality, the way they were wired, but others, regardless of how they were wired, have learned how to persevere and have that can-do positive attitude and a mindset.
Not one of those things that I mentioned you can't get better at, Heidi, right? Yeah, there are some people that are, there's always the natural leader opposed to the, somebody that's not. But all these traits are traits like what you talked about, resiliency. Well, if you go to the Grit to Greats website, they have a little test that you can take to find out what your scale is and the areas that you could work on, and some exercises that you can put into your own daily habits to become more resilient, to have a more resilient attitude. So I look at it like this. As a leader, I've taken on the role of helping all these people grow. That's a big responsibility, right? And I just don't think like iQor big. I want whoever works for iQor, I want them to go out thinking I can apply that to my life wherever I go.
Yeah.
Right. So that's really what, if you think about change and you take on that responsibility as a leader, I should be working on this stuff if I'm actually the professional that I claim to be.
Yes, and the more authentic, I believe the more authentic we are in, for example,
Yeah.
take servant leadership. If I have the mindset and the heart set that I'm here to serve my team and to help them each be successful in their endeavors, boy, that's just, it goes so far. Let me
There's
ask
this,
you this.
mhm.
Which one of these 5 traits you mentioned was the most instrumental for you to develop, or that to hone, or that you realize, wow, I've got a gap here? Which just do you think made you become a more effective leader by being intentional in growth?
Yeah, I think that I'm pretty well balanced. As I look at those are sort of 5 traits that I work on. But I think that problem solving to me has been the catalyst to my career. So that's the one that I rely on. So when I go into a new situation and I take on a project, or we built iQor University from scratch, right? Most companies don't do that. I was with IT people, I was with program. This is something I'd never done before, but I had a problem that we needed to solve. So I had to listen, ask good questions, and get better and better at that, and then connecting those dots so that I could help other people help me. And so when I'm talking about getting all of these, you can continue to work on, because I think I'm a pretty good problem solver, but I can still get better at it, right?
I love that.
And
That's a humility heart right there of, yeah, I'm decent at it, but I can always get better. So
yeah,
give me those 4 strategies. You rattle off about 4 when it comes to to become a more effective problem solver. You said listen, ask great questions as a result of listening.
right.
What was another one you shared?
Apply what you're learning so that you can give that feedback. And the other part is, and I didn't say this in the same part, is, don't be afraid to not know. Ask questions. I can't tell you how many times I'm in a meeting with HR people or leaders who are like, they don't want to ask the question because they're like, I should know that, right? And it's so funny that I'll ask a question. I'll get in, first off, I'll go into a major project meeting that's all tense and all kinds of people in it, and I'll start giving people a hard time and everybody starts laughing. And then they'll talk about something that I'll say something along the lines of, hey, for those of us who don't do this professionally in IT, can you tell me what you just talked about? Because I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you hear people laughing in the background because nobody else knew either, but you had the guts to say it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that. And you also mentioned connecting the dots. And I think sometimes when it comes to doing what you said, listening well, asking good questions, connecting the dots sometimes happens in the moment, but I think we've got to give ourselves permission as well to walk away from a meeting and say, you know what, I'm going to go think on this.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to get back to you. And I don't know about you, Mark, sometimes I'll go for a run, and it's not just physical I mean, I will go with a mental agenda. Yeah. I mean, I recently was in conversation with our CEO, and I was asking some questions, and I said, I just need to know, because I'm going to go for a mile swim, and I need to have a mental agenda. I need to have something to think about while I'm swimming. And it truly is, it's purposeful and intentional, because I'm waiting for those dots to connect as we're looking at big problems. So I appreciate what you shared.
Yeah, sometimes that happens for me in the mornings. I actually, as I'm waking up, I start thinking about, so I actually have a notepad next to my bed, because, once your morning gets started, you don't remember, but you had a great idea. Yeah. So it's nice to be able to jot those down too.
Yeah, good for you. So that's a great realistic strategy. So one last question. What's the best advice you can give to a learning HR professional?
Well, it's going to sound strange, but to grow, we have to fail. And so many people are so afraid in HR to fail because of the job and its nature. But when I was in my 20s, I lived in Atlanta, and the Olympics were there, and they had the Olympic mountain biking course was there. So I've been mountain biking for about 6 months, and I tried, and it wasn't pretty. And I came into work, and the buddy who had encouraged me to do it was like, so how's it going? I'm like, I don't think I'm doing very good, Glenn. I keep falling. I'm on the ground more than I'm riding and this stuff. And he just started laughing. He's like, Mark, now I know you're trying. Now I know you're growing because you're learning how to do it. And I always apply that simple message that he gave to me. So, if you do make a mistake, obviously you really want to learn from it. I think the best advice I can give is, if you think you made a mistake, especially in HR, let either legal or, if you report to the chief operating officer or whomever you report to, because they'll have your back, right? Hey, I don't know if I did, or if you hear something, or if this comes up, here's the decision I made and why. But I want you empower them to help you, right? And once that builds trust between you two, you're able to grow at a much faster pace because you can take on and try new things.
Nice. Thank you for that. We're kind of a learning nerd group here.
Right.
Learning and the new HR leader. What should I have on my bookshelf that you're reading? And for our viewers, what do we need to be mindful of, and what have you found that is something we want to be reading?
So we do leadership book studies here at iQor, and one of the best ones we did last year was Crucial Conversations. And learning how to communicate at every level, that book is really unbelievable. Of course, they built a company and webinars around it. We've used it on our own, but to go in and understand how to communicate with people so that the proper outcomes come to play based on different personalities and the best, not quite, doesn't really go into political savvy, but it talks about that, which is so important for an HR person to be able to have accountable conversations and to be able to have the tough conversations. And a lot of people, especially younger, where maybe they didn't grow up in the same generation that is more in your face and, you know, maybe a little bit more aggressive, this book really, really goes through it. And then second, I gotta tell you, bankable leadership, you know, there's a reason Marshall Goldsmith, you know, put the foreword in here. It's pretty awesome. It's Tasha Urich, and it's full of some of the best leadership stuff, ties in a lot of the stuff, really in line with a lot of my leadership beliefs, and it's been used by a lot of companies as sort of their leadership go-to Bible. So those are a couple of books I would highly recommend if you haven't.
Well, that's great. I like the fact that you've got kind of a classic, or what's becoming a classic, with Crucial Conversations, and then a newer read as well.
Yep.
Well, thank you for that.
You're
And
welcome.
thank you, Mark, for taking the time to share your experience and insights with us. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Don't forget to check out our archive episodes on hr.com/live. We release new episodes every day, so you can stay up to date on all things HR. Cheers.
Thank you for listening to HR.com Live. We have new episodes daily to help you maximize your potential. Be sure to check out our archives on HR.com and share it with your friends. Cheers.